Hello America, I'm Alan Vaughn. I intentionally crafted the last video on fiduciary advisors and fiduciary managers as an educational video to help you make a smart decision to move away from a non-fiduciary plan representative and take a look at two alternatives that the good people at the Department of Labor 35 years ago had developed to better help you in your sponsoring a qualified retirement plan for your employees. The fact is, the vast majority of plans these days are still using a non-fiduciary plan representative, and that person is typically being asked by people like you to give a list of fund options for the plan's investment menu. So, under the table, with a wink and a nudge, you get it. Here, these are good funds to use. You know what I'm talking about. You know, what's so ridiculous about the whole thing is that brokers are always asking the wholesalers of those 401k products, hey, can you give me a list of the hot funds in your 401k product? I'm telling you, you don't know this stuff, but it's happening all the time because brokers are not paid to service a plan. They're not paid to do research. They're paid to sell. In fact, brokers are paid only a fraction of the commissions that a 401k sale or any other securities business generates. And 401ks don't generate near as much commission as personal investments do. And they are a lot harder to sell than personal business. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with somebody earning a commission for selling an investment because that's a tough business. Companies need to raise capital, and investments of all different kinds are one of the few ways you can leverage your savings into earning more than a CD rate. But a 401k plan needs servicing and constant oversight. And there's little incentive for a broker to do the hours of research and do the one-on-one coaching necessary to make a 401k a truly defined benefit to both you, the plan sponsor, and the employees. It's not at all like any of the other benefits you provide. Why don't you ask your 401k broker what his net commission rate is? You need to know that. You also need to know how much commission the plan is generating as well. That's one of the areas many of us were hoping to have Regulation 408B2 to address. So, what usually happens is the recommended funds get put into the plan's fund menu, and then you get the group enrollment meetings where, by the way, nobody understands the difference between a growth fund and a value fund, and the opportunity to establish a link between your company and the long-range vision of the employees is lost. But I digress. And there the funds will sit and sit and sit, and nobody's doing regular due diligence on the funds because, hey, the big hit on the commissions is already paid out. There's no monetary incentive of any count for the broker to do an in-depth due diligence on his own. And they sit some more until somebody complains or the plan leaves because you got sold into the idea of moving your plan with another broker. And that's about the only time the fund menu really changes. That's not a prudent practice. And I can laugh about that now because, you know, I'm not in a selling environment with you here. I'm just telling you the way it is because that's the way it's been for the last 25 years. That's also why I started our company with a completely different focus to maximize your human capital with the plan, not to sell you somebody else's record keeping or TPA product. And here's another thing you've got to address. It's your personal liability with the 401k. You know, I brushed past that rather quickly in the last video, but it's time you quit ignoring the 800-pound gorilla in your living room. It's real. It happens all the time. We read about it in our industry nearly every day now. Ask the former CEO of WorldCom. You know, the only reason he even went to prison was because of his personal liability with the 401k plan. Your employees can take your home, your IRAs, your 401k balance, even your kids' college funds. So if I were a CFO or a human resources manager or anybody else that could be remotely considered as a fiduciary to your 401k, and I knew what I know now, I'd be screaming either for an ERISA fiduciary liability insurance policy, something that I carry for myself, and don't think for a minute your current P&C policy has such a rider in it. They don't. I know. Or I'd get a fiduciary manager on your plan as soon as I could, because that's the only other way to transfer that liability. Because, you know, admit it, you're not versed in investments, and so you couldn't be designated as a qualified expert. And if you couldn't handle 2 minutes of cross-examination by a prosecution attorney, then you know you're not. And in the sections of ERISA that I quoted in the last video, it is inferred by the code that one of your named fiduciaries needs to be a qualified expert in investments. Oh, and as far as Regulation 404C is concerned to limit your liability, don't kid yourselves. I could spend less than 5 minutes at your office and punch holes right through your 404C initiatives. What good is it anyway? I mean, I've gotten all the mutual fund prospectuses and handed them out to all the employees, and they're found an hour later in trash cans, piles of them. Now, the second reason for hiring an ERISA 338 Fiduciary Investment Manager is that not only is the investment menu going to be much better consistently, your employees are going to have a fighting chance at achieving a savings balance in their 401k accounts that will support, at minimum, a dignified lifestyle during their retirement years. Because to me, at least, it is incumbent upon me as an ERISA 338 Fiduciary Investment Manager to my clients to find ways to get their employees to achieve such a balance. That's why I developed the Retirement Coach System software and the Dynamic Asset Allocation Portfolios. Now, for me, it wasn't enough just to pick some good funds for the menu. But I also realized that asset allocation modeling was something that couldn't be left to the participants. In the 25 years I've been in the corporate retirement plan business, I've done those group enrollment meetings. I've seen the deer in headlights look and the nodding puppy look. And then I get the enrollment forms back only to see mostly ridiculous fun pics. You want to see some? Give me a call and we'll do a go-to-meeting teleconference and I'll show you the results of my participant-based consults. I bet I'd find the same kinds of things in your plan too. But this is why my clients' plans are fiduciary manager directed plans with participant input. Now, I'm definitely not an advocate for taking away all participant direction. My preference is that only the dynamic asset allocation portfolios are the only investment alternatives that the participants can select from. At the very minimum, if a participant wants to disregard our coaching and advice, he won't blow himself up by picking one of the model portfolios. Now, he may not achieve the retirement goal that we work together to craft in the coaching sessions, but at least we'll know who's to blame if he disregards our advice, and it won't be you. The third reason for hiring an ERISA 338 Fiduciary Investment Manager is like what I said in video number 1. You're spending thousands each year on the 401k, and you're putting thousands more in matches and profit-sharing contributions to make it attractive. It's high time you started getting something back in return. Now, I know it sounds old school, but as a business owner myself, every extra penny I spend on employees or on marketing means a penny not going toward my girls' college funds. It's that simple. There'd better be some return for it. Well, that's where rediscovering the true value of the 401k and cleaving together an employee's long-range vision of themselves with your company is so important. And a non-fiduciary advisor just can't do that. They don't have the tools to do it, and they just don't have the incentive either. So I hope this video was helpful. I know it's slanted towards the ERISA 338 manager, but I wouldn't go out and do this if it weren't for the fact that I'm sick and tired of seeing people miss such a golden opportunity and ending up broke at retirement when there's a better way to do things. So if you'd like to carry this presentation into a conversation with me, feel free to give us a call.